A design can get lots of wow or be beautiful and still sit on the market for 2 years. It can look stunning in a render and completely fail the people who are supposed to live in it, or the client who paid to design and build it. The difference between a design that moves and one or doesn't sell in the market is not always about aesthetics. It's about the decisions you make before you ever put pen to paper. In this video, I'm sharing 5 factors you need to consider when designing to sell, whether you are working with a real estate developer or private client. The first factor is understanding your brief and your client requirements. And I mean really understanding them and not skimming. Before a single design decision is made, you need to study the project brief thoroughly. And you want to study it for two separate reasons. The first one is to understand the plot requirements. What are the planning regulations? What does the approval process in your state or country demand? Because before construction begins, your design has to go through approval. If your design doesn't align with what the brief requires, you're not just wasting your time, you're wasting your client's time and money. The second reason is to fully understand what your client actually needs and not just what they said they want, but what they are trying to achieve also. Here's something worth remembering: as an architect on a development project, you are an intermediary. You are sitting between your client, the developer now, and the prospective homeowner who will eventually live in what you design and build. Your job is to help your client make profit, but not at the expense of the person who will occupy that space. That balance between commercial viability and human experience starts with how well you understand the brief. So get this right, and every other decision that follows become clearer. The second factor is knowing your target audience, and I don't mean knowing them vaguely. I mean understanding who the prospective buyers actually are. What are their demographics? What does their lifestyle look like? What do they prioritize when they are choosing a home? Because different buyer segments want completely different things from a space. A young professional might prioritize a compact, efficient layout with modern finishes, fast internet infrastructure, and proximity to commercial areas or their workplace. They are not looking for a large compound. They want something that fits their lifestyle and their budget. While a family, on the other hand, is thinking about bedrooms for their children, storage, outdoor space where their kids can play, security, and whether the neighborhood has the right schools nearby. So, if you design without knowing who you are designing for, you end up with a space that tries to serve everyone and end up serving no one particularly well. So, before you start designing, research your target audience. Understand how they live, what matters to them, what they are willing to pay for, and what they walk away from if it is not there. That research should shape every room, every specification, and every decision you make regarding that design. The third factor is market research. And I want to be specific about why this matters because it's often misunderstood. You are not researching the market to copy what everyone is doing. No, you are researching to understand what's actually selling in your area. In this case, now that area. How many bedrooms are buyers asking for? What features are they prioritizing? What spaces are they walking away from? What price points are moving? And which ones are they looking at? When you understand what the market is responding to, you can make deliberate design decisions. You can choose to meet the market where it is, or you can choose to push it forward. But either way, you are doing it with information and not just assumption. And the other reason is market research matters. It helps you improve. When you see what's working in comparable developments, you can identify gaps, things buyers want that the market is not delivering well yet. That gap is where the best design opportunities live. So study the market, then design something better than what is currently offering. The fourth factor is budget. And this is the one I see cause the most avoidable problems on development projects. I've seen designs that were genuinely impressive, like thoughtful layouts, strong aesthetic choices, spaces that would have worked beautifully for the end user, and they were never built. And some of them were so heavily altered during construction that the original design became almost unrecognizable. Why? Because cost was not factored in early enough. Now, this is one principle I also want you to take away from this point. Cutting cost begins at the design stage, not after your design is complete, not when construction has already started. At the design stage, yes. Every specification you choose, every structural decision you make, every material you recommend, these are cost decisions as much as they are design decisions. The earlier you treat them that way, the more control you and your client have over the outcome. Now, I understand that not every client will hand you a formal brief with a clear budget figure. Many of them will not give you a number at all, but there are ways to work around that through the conversations and the words they throw around. For example, when they say, don't give me something that's too expensive, or I want something affordable, then you already know that they are telling you apply caution when you are designing. But when they say money is not a problem, or I want something really luxurious, then you can begin to imagine that it's saying, oh, there's money. However, the project details itself, especially the location of the plot, is another thing that will tell you whether to make the design a certain way or to consider certain target audience. So find out what you are working with, then design within the context intelligently. Smart cost management during the design phase is what separates a project that gets built and makes profit from the one that stalls. The fifth and final factor is location and site context, and this one shapes every other thing else. No site exists in isolation. Every plot sits within a neighborhood, a climate zone, a local planning jurisdiction, a set of building codes. Name them. Your design has to respond to all of that and not fight against it. So start with the basics. What are the local building codes and regulation in that area? What does the neighborhood look like and where is it going? Is this an area in transition with infrastructure investment coming, or is it already established with a clear buyer demographics you need to design for? Then look at what the site itself is offering you. What is the orientation? How does the sun move across the plot? What is the wind direction? What is the orientation? How does the sun move across the plot? And how can your design use that to reduce heat gain and maximize natural light and ventilation? Are there views worth capturing? Where does access come from? And how does that shape the entrance sequence? Every site has something worth designing toward. A good view, a natural breeze path, a general setback that allow for landscaping. These are not extras. They are things that make a property feel different from every other one on the street. And in a competitive market, feeling different is a commercial advantage. So design with the site in mind, not just on it. There you have them. Five factors to consider when you are designing to sell, especially for real estate. Understand your brief and your client requirement. Know your target audience. Do your market research and use it to design something better. Factor in budget from the very beginning. And always design with your location and site context in mind. These five things will not just make you a better designer for development projects and developers, they will make you a more valuable partner to every developer and client you work with, because you'll be thinking about the full picture, not just the drawing or the design itself. Now, I want to hear from you. What other factors do you consider when you are designing for a development project? What would you add to this list? Let me know in the comment section. I read everyone. Enjoy, Emma. I'll see you in the next video.